What's up everybody, Chana D, your Techno Dad here. It's December, so that means it's time to save big on big purchases. So if you're planning to buy a 4K TV, I've got 8 items you need to familiarize yourself with before you go hit the stores this holiday season. I did a lot of research to help you make an informed decision and, be happy with what you bought. So let's get into all that right after the jump. Before we begin, just go ahead down in the comments below. Let me know if you're buying a 4K TV, what size, what price range, what brand you're looking at. Get a discussion going, see what's up. Now on to the list. Item number 1, resolution. So your full HD runs at a resolution of 1920 by 1080. That's roughly 2,073,000 and some change in pixels. You just multiply the two numbers together. Not a big deal. 4K resolution runs at 3840 by 2160, giving you just under 8.3 million pixels. That's a lot of pixels. And we're talking about a huge jump in resolution, which is going to be 4 times the detail. All that extra detail is going to be there. Okay, number 2 is screen size. Okay, what size is going to be good for you in your application? Is this going into a bedroom? Is this going into a living room? This is the kind of thing you need to know. Originally, in our bedroom, we had a 36-inch LED TV by Samsung. I moved up to an LG 4K TV with HDR for the bedroom. It's a 49-inch TV, and it fits our bedroom really well. I went with the 49 because these days, the bezels are so small, and by bezel, I mean the borders around the screen. The bezels are so small, the TVs visually have a smaller visual footprint. If you have a 1-inch or 1.5-inch bezel on left and right, you've got now an extra 3 inches that you're just kind of seeing, but it's not part of the screen. Manufacturers put 48.5 viewable on their 49-inch TV. Make sure to take note of that as well. Now for a living room, anything where like 8 feet away, you're going to want to go 65 or higher. You can go with an 80-inch screen if you can afford it, 75 inches, 65 inches, whatever. We have a 65-inch TV. It's a Panasonic Plasma, which I'm going to upgrade to an OLED 4K in a week or so. So I'm pretty excited about that. I would have loved to have gone to the 77-inch, but that was like $20,000. So that's not going to happen. Which actually leads me to item number 3, price. Price and screen size definitely do go hand in hand. The bigger the size screen, the more you're going to pay for it. Of course, you could choose a budget manufacturer where you could get a 50-inch screen for $1,000. That is totally possible. What I would do is set yourself a price range. Are you going budget, $1,000 and under? Are you going mid-range, $1,000 to $2,000? Or are you going premium, expensive, $2,000 and up? Those are 3 simple price ranges. So figure out where you belong. It's the holidays. I'm sure there's plenty of extra expenses there. And hey, if you get a holiday bonus and want to toss in an extra $500 into your TV buying budget, hey, more power to you. Sometimes you can sacrifice screen size for better picture quality. Let's say there's a 55 and there's a 50. Let's say the Samsung range, okay? There's the KU series 55 that costs, let's say, $1,000. Now there's the KS series that costs $1,000, but it's a 50-inch or a 49-inch. That KS series is going to have way better picture quality and better HDR than the 55-inch KU. If you want an apples-to-apples comparison in the same brand, different series of TVs are going to have more options and are going to be more expensive. However, if you sacrifice a little bit of screen size, you'll get a better picture quality, right? I mean, we all want the best stuff, but we want the best stuff that our money can buy. So if you want a bigger screen, go with the lower end of that brand. If you want better picture quality, go with a higher series of TV, but a smaller screen size. That choice is up to you. Item number 4 is connectivity. How are you going to connect to this TV? For the most part, all these TVs have anywhere from 3 to 4 HDMI ports. I would recommend not getting a TV with 2. Unless you're hooking it up to an AV receiver that does full 4K pass-through with HDR and 2020 support, I would say a TV set that has at least 3 HDMI ports. So you want to make sure the HDMI inputs have 2 specifications on them. First is, are they HDMI 2.0A? HDMI 2.0A will allow full 4K support at 60 frames per second. That's what you're going to need there. The second is HDCP 2.2. HDCP stands for High Bandwidth Digital Content Protection. So if you have an ultra high definition Blu-ray, you put in your Xbox One S or your ultra high definition Blu-ray player, you plug it into your TV. If your TV does not have an HDCP 2.2 port, you'll get an audio signal, but you won't get a picture signal. Or you might just not get both. It all depends. If you don't have that, you won't be able to play any of your copy protected material, Blu-rays, and maybe even Xbox and PS4 games. Another thing that's cool is the ARC. A lot of people don't know what that is. ARC is an audio return channel. Let's say you had a home theater receiver that's full 4K supported, HDR, all that stuff. It will have an audio return channel as well in HDMI that will go to the TV. If you connect the ARC HDMI port on the home theater receiver with the corresponding port on the TV, that one cable will work in both directions. What does this mean? It means if you're watching a different source, your cable box is plugged into the receiver, and then the receiver sends a video signal through that cable to the TV. So now, let's say you're watching Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, whatever on the TV. That cable will now go from the TV out to send the audio to the receiver. So that will work both upstream and downstream. It's a really cool feature, and if you have a home theater receiver, definitely make sure there's an audio return channel on both the TV and the receiver, and you'll be able to use this feature. Moving on to number 5, HDR support. What is HDR? HDR stands for High Dynamic Range. The simplest way to put it is that the whites are brighter and the blacks are darker. When you do this, you'll get more of a 3D aspect to the picture, and you'll also see a little bit more detail, and it kind of puts you into like a portal, and the TV becomes a window to whatever it is you're watching. It's really cool. It came from the photography side and is being implemented into films and video games and a lot of motion graphics. There are 2 specifications for HDR. One is HDR10, which is like an open format. Anybody can make any content for HDR10. The second is Dolby Vision, and the Dolby Vision HDR is a proprietary platform. So if you have something that's Dolby Vision, the content creators had to go to Dolby to get licensing for the content to meet the Dolby Vision standards. As far as gaming is concerned, the 2 newest consoles, the Xbox One S and the PlayStation 4 Pro, both are on the HDR10 specification. I have not seen anything in Dolby Vision HDR. My TV is HDR10, so with Netflix, there are HDR titles, and I am able to experience HDR, and it's phenomenal. Check out Marco Polo if you haven't. It's pretty sweet. I'll get into some more content later on in the video. And as we're talking about gaming, another thing to look at is there's a lot of input lag when you have a game with HDR. As of the end of November, LG has just put out a firmware update that adds an HDR game mode, which is a low latency HDR picture mode. I will make a video of an update and a test, so look out for that. So the reason they call it HDR10 is because the TV has met the spec of having 10-bit color. Now the difference between HDR10 and Dolby Vision is that a Dolby Vision panel has 12-bit color, so it's going to have more detail. In theory, if a TV has the Dolby Vision HDR spec, it can also have the HDR10 spec with like a firmware update just saying, oh hey, we can play HDR10 as well. And some of the higher end OLEDs have both HDR10 and Dolby Vision HDR because it is a 12-bit panel and it can do both. So that's a good thing to look at if you want to future-proof your TV. Now, let's talk about 8-bit panels. In 2016, there has been a jump to HDR. However, a lot of manufacturers have tried to add HDR, but to an 8-bit panel. This is not going to give you as much color, as much richness, as much depth as a 10-bit panel. Here's the reason. An 8-bit panel has an available 16.7 million colors. That's a lot of color. A 10-bit color panel has 1.07 billion colors. That's a lot. You're going to get a lot more on this 10-bit panel. When you're looking at HDR TVs, make sure it's not an 8-bit panel. Make sure it's a 10-bit panel. Some of the Samsungs that are 8-bit panels will have HDR called HDR Premium. That does not meet the HDR10 specification. The Samsung panels that do meet the HDR10 specification are called HDR 1000. Make sure you know what you're buying because you don't want it to look like crap. Number 6. So here's something important. It's panel technology. You need to know what you're buying. All right. And with all these flat panels, there's two things involved. There is the front panel, which gives you all the color and pixels light up in different colors. And then the second panel is a backlight. You need some way for the pixels to light up. So a light shines through. Now, the best available panel is an OLED panel. That's organic light emitting diode. What's so special about these? Here's the thing. An OLED panel, all it needs is just the pixels on the front panel. It doesn't need a backlight because the OLED pixels can illuminate and turn off all by themselves. Each of those 8.3 million pixels can turn off, giving you an infinite black level. And that's why LG is touting an infinite contrast ratio, because you can get that true black that you just can't get with an LCD LED TV. The OLEDs can also be thinner and lighter because it only needs one panel and not two panels. However, they are expensive. Prices have dropped. You can get some good pricing right now during the holidays on an OLED, and I'll put some links in the description for sure. So then the second best technology is an LED TV. An LED TV is made up of an LCD panel and an LED backlighting, okay? Two panels. The worst form of this is an LED edge-lit TV, which is like the one I have for the bedroom. Budget TVs, anything under $1,000, are definitely going to be edge-lit. The cheapest technology, it's the easiest, and by far it's the worst in terms of picture quality. And edge-lit means exactly what you think it means. It's lit from the edges of the screen. Nothing from the center. So when there's a portion of the screen that needs to be black, you have the color turning black, but you still have the light shining through it. If you have a black screen, you're gonna have gray going through there because of different bright spots. And I totally see that on my budget 4K TV. That's something you're not gonna see on an OLED or something above $3,000. Now let's take a step forward. They've made an LED, what they call a full array, which means the LEDs are not just at the edge, they're all throughout the panel. This is a lot better. So you'll definitely find full array LED TVs in the mid price, like $1,000 to $2,000. And from the $2,000 price point and above, you'll have a full array LED backlight with local dimming. Now what local dimming will allow the TV to turn off different sections of the backlighting on the whole entire TV, giving you a closer representation to deeper blacks. It's not going to be like the OLED and the infinite contrast ratio, but it is going to be the closest you can get before you step up to an OLED. So that's the LED panel of the LED TV. Now the front panel, the LCD part, you want to make sure that is an IPS panel. There's a few others, but the majority of 4K TVs are IPS. They're going to give you the best color that you can find. So make sure if you're buying an LED TV, it has an IPS front panel. 7, no curves. Don't fall for this stupid gimmick. You're going to pay an extra $200 for a curve that's not going to do anything for you. If you're going to get a TV for your living room and you have multiple viewing angles, you do not want a curve. If you're getting a TV where there's a couch right in front of it and nobody else but maybe 2 or 3 people at the very max are going to sit and watch, go ahead, get a curve if you like that sort of thing. Curve monitors are really great as computer monitors. The LG ultra-wide curve, 23-inch ones, 34-inch ones, those are great because it's just you. And a curved TV needs a sweet spot. So if you have a big great room or you have couches set up in a way that you'll have people watching from different angles, you don't want a curve. It's a big gimmick and I hate it and you should hate it too. So don't fall for that curve nonsense. 8. All right, this is my last item that we need to discuss, and it is content. You got a 4K TV, now what? Right now, most of the content is on streaming services. YouTube has the most amount of free 4K content. Netflix has a lot of 4K and 4K HDR content. You will, however, have to bump up to their highest plan to get that. The other thing that's most important to think about is your internet infrastructure. You need to have fast internet. You need to have high bandwidth. If you get your 4K TV home without that, you're going to be struggling because you won't be able to watch anything in this glorious 4K with high dynamic range on this, $3,000-$4,000 TV or your $500 TV. Whatever. You need to make sure you have some really fast internet. I've seen recommendations of 20 megabits downstream. I have 200, mainly because we have people in the house that are gonna be using up bandwidth. My kid's always on YouTube, hogging up the bandwidth. My wife could be in the living room, streaming something from Netflix in HD or in 4K, and then I could be in the bedroom playing Call of Duty, playing Gears of War, whatever. You need to have as much bandwidth as you can afford. And to go along with that, you need to have a good AC router to give you all that bandwidth and at the highest speed. You're not gonna wanna have your 4K HDR stream cut out on you because Junior is downloading some music. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you found it informative, and if you did, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you like this content. I have a lot more videos coming up, so definitely subscribe if you like this sort of stuff. And I also wanna let you know that I will put links in the description for everything I've talked about, and I wanna say thank you so much for watching. My name is Chana D, I'm your Techno Dad, and I'll see you next time.